Hello my lovelies, MissShadowLovely here. Today we're going to be talking about how I got into anime and how other people got into anime. Eventually, of course, if you are a fan of anime, at one point you had to be introduced to it. So today we're going to talk about how I got introduced to it, and if any of the series that I mentioned in this video were also your first anime, be sure to leave it in the comments below, that way that I can know that I wasn't alone. Because let's just say some of my first anime weren't exactly mainstream. So anyway, before we get started, be sure that you're already following me on my Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook page. That way you can stay up to date with all of the latest news. Not that there is much news, most of the news is just me posting pictures of my cat and the food that I eat. So now that that's out of the way, let's get started. So like I said, everyone's been introduced to anime at a certain point in their life, if it's something, you know, that you're a fan of. If you're not, I'm really not sure why you're watching this video to begin with. But yeah, your introduction to anime could have been like, you know, watching the classics as a kid, you know, Dragon Ball, Sailor Moon, all of that, depending on how old you are. Nowadays, I feel like anime is much more accessible, so I feel like maybe some of my younger viewers may just, you know, have just downloaded Crunchyroll or something and started watching it, or found it on YouTube or something. Back in the day, I had to wait for Saturday morning or Adult Swim or Toonami. I don't remember if those are the same things. I had to wait for those to be able to watch anime. Either that, or you know, you could have been introduced to it in school by a friend or something like that. I didn't go to school, I was homeschooled, so that definitely wasn't the case for me. Or maybe your friends or family were into it. Maybe they introduced it to you that way. Also not the case in my household. So yeah, I don't exactly remember like the moment in time where I first started watching anime, but I do remember some of the ones that I started watching when I was like a kid. On Saturday morning, okay, here we go. Like, just, please, just give me peace about this. Saturday mornings on 4Kids, they would show Yu-Gi-Oh! And Tokyo Mew Mew. Of course, it was 4Kids, so they didn't call it Tokyo Mew Mew, it was Mew Mew Power. And those were like my favorite. I loved those two. Those were like some of my absolute favorite. And then also, I kind of repressed the memory of this anime, but it existed, I promise. And they showed it on 4Kids, and it was a thing. And I watched it like religiously, called Fighting Foodons. If you haven't seen it, you can always, you know, pause this video and go look it up. If not, I'll give you the synopsis. It was basically kind of like Yu-Gi-Oh! And Pokemon, I guess. But instead of that, it was like Shokugeki no Soma, like before that was ever a thing. Basically, these kids made food, and they had cards that would bring the food to life, and then they would make the food fight each other, and Fighting Foodons, and it's a real thing. I promise I'm not making it up, and it was not like a vivid hallucination, it was real. I do repress the memory that it existed, but I promise that it was a real thing. Sometimes like I'll just be sitting like at work or something, or like editing a video, and then all of a sudden the memory of that show will just creep back into my mind, and I'll be like, oh, that was a thing, wasn't it? So anyway, yeah, those were like those are the ones I remember watching first, but I don't think those were actually like the ones that I watched first. Because before that, I was super into Pokemon and Digimon and Sailor Moon. I do remember also on the Sci-Fi Channel, they would air anime, and I would watch, I think Zatch Bell was on there. Gurren Lagann was on there, but that didn't come till like quite a bit later. Sci-Fi also aired Gundam, but again, that didn't come till like quite a bit later in my life. But as a kid, those were definitely, and like Dragon Ball, Dragon Ball Z, like those were probably like the staple, like where I started. And then of course at some point, like in the Gurren Lagann era, Naruto and Bleach and more mainstream ones that you could see on Toonami or Adult Swim. Again, I don't remember if those were the same things. I remember watching those as well. One really mainstream one that I never got into that like all the people my age were like super into, and like, well, there's two of them actually, that I never really got into, and I'm probably gonna get crucified for this because they're like anime holy grails, like they're the classics. But I really am not, I was not and I am not a fan of Inuyasha, and also Full Metal Alchemist. Now, granted, Full Metal Alchemist gets a pass because I did actually watch Full Metal Alchemist and I did enjoy it. I enjoyed it more. It's not one of my favorites though. It didn't have any rewatch appeal to me. Inuyasha just didn't have any like watch appeal, period. So sorry guys, I know that's a lot of people's like favorite show, but I just didn't like it. I don't have a reason, I just didn't like it. So yeah, those were like kind of like the mainstream ones that like everybody got into, and I will admit, okay, now don't, again, I'm gonna get like super crucified for this. Like, when I was young, Yu-Gi-Oh! And Digimon were my thing. Like, Pokemon was cool, I liked it a lot, but Yu-Gi-Oh! And Digimon were like my thing. Like, I loved them. And like the first Digimon that I saw was actually not my favorite season of Digimon, and I don't remember which Digimon it was because like there's like a different like title for each one, but it was the one where the kids, there's 5 kids, there's like TK and Sora, I think was the main character's name. No, I'm way wrong. Sora was the girl from the other season that I liked. Takashi, I think, and Tai, nope, I think Tai's from the other season too. Anyway, there's like the same like set in TJ, I remember TJ or PJ, whatever his name was, the chunky kid. And Tommy. Yeah, I've completely butchered the names. Anyway, and then there's a girl named Zoe. I do remember that. But anyway, they had the thing where they could scan it and they would become Digimon. And it was super cool, and the girl could turn into like the butterfly one, Cosmon, and then Zephyrmon, which was the coolest Digimon I've ever seen in my life, and still is the coolest Digimon I've ever seen in my life. And, well, okay, Angemon and Angelamon are pretty cool. There's a lot of cool Digimon. Anyway, I really like Digimon, okay? Anyway, yeah, no, that was the first one I watched, and that's not really like a good even representation of Digimon, because that's not how like any of the other seasons are, but that was the first one I watched and then I really liked it. It's not my favorite. My favorite one is the one with Sora and Mimi, and that one where they actually have Digimon, and it's more like a Pokemon ripoff. But yeah, that's my favorite season, my favorite series. I don't know if it's like Power Rangers, like there's like different ones. There's like Ninja Force and Animal Force. Anyway, yeah, you get it. So yeah, Digimon was my thing. Original Yu-Gi-Oh, not this GX nonsense you kiddos have nowadays, but like the original OG Yu-Gi-Oh. That was my thing. Like I'm into it. Again, I really like Pokemon too. The original ones with Ash, Misty, and Brock. That was really cool. I was really into that. But I'm still into Pokemon today just as a franchise. So it doesn't have that like nostalgia feel. It's really hard to be into like Digimon because there's not like a lot of Digimon, and it's really hard to be into Yu-Gi-Oh too because like all the Yu-Gi-Oh is completely new. Like that joke, like card games on motorcycles. Like I'm pretty sure that actually happened. So like Yu-Gi-Oh is not the Yu-Gi-Oh that I watched when I was a kid anymore. So it doesn't have that nostalgia appeal anymore. So then after like that happened, and then like Naruto and all that got mixed into the mix, actually before Naruto, this was actually, I do remember, it was before Naruto. We had these movie channels. It wasn't like HBO, it was like the less expensive premium movie package. And at 3 o'clock every day, they would air on the kids movie channel one, they would air an anime. And it was different, various animes, but the one that I watched from start to finish when I first realized they were airing anime and they had like an anime block at 3 o'clock was an anime. This was, I guess you would consider it my first like non-mainstream like adult anime, like one that wasn't like targeted towards kids, and that was a series called Van Dread. If you've never seen it, it's a treat. It's about well, it's really hard to explain in a way that doesn't make me sound like a psychopath. Basically, if I remember correctly, because it has been quite a while, and I've been given many opportunities to rewatch this because I believe it's available on Crunchyroll or Funimation or something. So I could rewatch it if I want to, but it was one of those things where like I rewatched one episode and I was like, this is garbage. And I don't know why I enjoyed it as a kid, but I know why I enjoyed it as a kid because it was literally the only access to anime that I had. Because, fun fact, I wasn't actually allowed to watch anime as a kid. I had to do this all behind my parents' back. And Mom and Dad, if you're watching this video, I'm sorry, I watched a lot of anime as a kid. You probably knew about it and I thought I was being a lot sneakier than I was, but yeah, you obviously know now. But anyway, so yeah, a lot of this I was watching like behind my parents' back. Don't do that, kids. I mean, talk openly with your parents about anime. Have an open forum discussion with your parents about anime, if they care. They probably wouldn't have liked this one, because it was about men and women apparently found, it was set in space, first of all, and somehow men and women found a way to asexually reproduce. Or no, it wasn't necessarily asexually reproduce, they just found a way to reproduce with each other? Or something, I don't know. It was a very gay anime. There was not many men, so it was just mainly like a lot of anime lesbians, just like a lot of them. Women got sick of men or something like that. There was like a war between the male and female, like, people. I think they were people. They look like people, so I'm gonna assume they were humans, but there was like a race between them, or a race. There was a war between them. They didn't like each other, and they lived on separate spaceships, and one day they got in a big, huge battle, and somehow, like 3 men ended up on the women's spaceship and got abandoned there. And then it's basically it follows, it was like a harem anime kind of, like the main character, shonen guy, is constantly surrounded by women who have no idea what a man is, and it's just a lot of, there's like a pregnant one who got pregnant by another lady, and there's a lot of fan service, and it's basically space lesbians, like that's it. Like, it's not like graphic, like it's not like a hentai or anything, it's just, there's a lot of space lesbians. It was one of those things, like I really enjoyed it as a kid. I really liked the characters were really cool and they're like really cool designs and stuff, but like rewatching it I was like, wow, I have no desire to watch this whatsoever. But yeah, there was that one. And then also at one point they aired Vampire Hunter D, which I did actually really like, and that does have rewatch value to me, and I would watch it again, definitely. But that was another one that was kind of like a little more adult, even more so, because like I said, the other one was aired on like a kids channel, so it didn't have like it had adult themes, but like it wasn't like more than PG-13. There was no like blatant fan service or anything. Like, it was, you could watch it with kids. I wouldn't recommend it just because it's not a good anime, but you could watch it with kids hypothetically. You just have to explain probably how one girl got another girl pregnant, which even now I still don't remember how the series justified that. But not that it's important, not like we're arguing, you know, important plot points about a space lesbian anime, but take that as you will, take it with a grain of salt. But yeah, and then another one, my other first like non-mainstream, the one that like really got me into like, the kind of anime I like, and that saying it like that is gonna just 100% make me sound like a serial killer. But the kind of anime that I like, plot-wise, and at the time, please keep in mind, I was a very edgy kid. I had a rough go of it as a child and a teenager, and I was really angsty, and I had a lot of like pent-up like stuff. So I really liked edgy stuff. And anyway, so the first like really adult anime that I saw, I don't even remember how I got to that point, but like somehow I figured out, like on the old school iTunes page, some people would upload like episodes of stuff as a podcast and you could download it to your devices. And like somehow 12, 13-year-old me figured out that, and I mostly did it because I wanted to download AMVs. And then I found that this one page had full episodes, 3 of them to be exact, of an anime. And I downloaded them. That anime is Elfen Lied. So, Elfen Lied I had just on my little tiny iPod thing before iPod touches were a thing. It was like the little tiny one that had a little screen but it played video. Yeah, on that I had Elfen Lied, and I would watch those 3 episodes over and over and over again, and I loved it, and Elfen Lied to this day is still one of my favorite rewatches. I've rewatched Elfen Lied probably 6 or 7 times. It is not a substantially good series. It is not a very, you know, like, I wouldn't consider it a award-winning series, but it will always have a place in my heart. Like, for the longest time, I wanted to be a Diclonius. I'm assuming most of you know what Elfen Lied is. It's not mainstream, but it is well known. Like Boku no Pico, I guess. But yeah, so Elfen Lied was my first like adult anime that I was like a huge fan of. Super loved it. Would watch over and over again. Have watched over and over again. Would definitely do so. And so yeah, anyway, that's how I kind of like I got into it. From there, it just kind of like snowballed. Anytime there would be like any anime on TV, I would watch it. And then, you know, YouTube came around and I had more access to the internet. This was in the era of MySpace, so like MySpace was a thing. My friends on MySpace would introduce me to new anime, and from there kind of like broadened my horizons. I remember someone introducing me to Air Gear at one point. But one really weird thing though, like I was super into Sailor Moon, like Sailor Mars was like the best. And still is. But like I never really got into the other like magical girl animes. I did watch Magical Knight Ray Earth, if I remember it correctly, because that aired again on like a local TV station, like at like 6 o'clock at night. They had like a little block of anime and they always played that one. And The Vision of Escaflowne they also did, which were cool, but I wasn't like super into them. Like I have to watch this every week when it comes out. And there's not really, I'll be real, like since I was a kid, there haven't been many series that have actually done that for me, like where I'm like, I have to watch every episode that comes out. Part of that is because, you know, with streaming now, you can watch any episode whenever you want, and that's super convenient. And I'm one of those people who, unless I want to watch something a lot, I'm not willing to like wait and take time out of my day for it. It has to be at my leisure. So streaming has definitely played a huge part in that. But the other part is that there just haven't, in recent history, haven't been like a lot since I became an adult that really made me want to watch more. There have been several in this last year that have been like that. Especially with like the introduction of Monster Girl animes, because Monster Girls are my thing. I love Monster Girl animes. Yeah, no, like, I know, you're gonna tell me, oh, there's no plot and then they're all fan service. I don't care. Why do you think all of my videos on this channel are like Monster Girls, dude? Like, I love Monster Girl stuff. And that's a totally different subject for a totally different video, because this video was supposed to be about how I got introduced to anime and the first anime that I was into, and that's my story. So anyway, as I said in the beginning of this video, if any of these series that I mentioned were also your first anime, please leave them in the comment section, or if they weren't, tell me what your first anime was. It's probably going to make me feel super old or super young, who knows, because I did also, as I was filming this, have a vague recollection that I also used to watch Speed Racer on, oddly enough, I think it was like Nick at Night. Like it was a Nickelodeon channel for sure, but I definitely remember them airing Speed Racer at one point. And that was when I was like really young. So I'm not that old. Like I wasn't alive when Speed Racer like came out, I don't think. I'm not gonna Google it and find out, but I feel like Speed Racer probably came out before I was born. If one of these was your first anime as well, leave it in the comment section below. If it wasn't, still let me know. I like to compare notes with people, and I also like to be a masochist and find out how much older I am than other people, because I'm starting to get older and that existential crisis is constantly ever present. Also, if you liked what you see, remember to like, comment, and subscribe. I've said comment a lot in this video. It's because I haven't made a vlog in a really, really long time. But guess what? This new camera and whatnot means that I'm gonna be doing it more often. Sorry if you don't like looking at my face. So yeah, again, hit that like button, leave me a comment. Remember to subscribe if you want to see more. I'm mostly gonna be talking about stuff that probably no one besides me cares about. Remember to tell me what series got you into anime, and that's all I got for you. Have a lovely day.